Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the recap of Team Cofidis and team preview for their 2025 season. Wow, you're very excited for this this team, Benji. A team in dire straits, let's say, who had
Dire
Straits,
five
yeah.
victories.
Yep, 5 wins in all of 2024. Admittedly, 2 at World Tour level with Coquard in Tour de Suisse and Benjamin Thomas in the Giro. Was that must have been a breakaway? That was with Pietrabon and Valgren, and not much else of note in terms of UCI points. Also, in the 2024 ranking, they were the 20th team, so they were worse than Arkea. They were worse than UNOX by 1,000 points. Luckily for them, they have, they got a bit of a head start. But we'll get back to the points in a second, Benji. Yeah, what's your feelings, thoughts on their team, emotions?
Calma. Everything will be all right, sir. Have you not looked at the notes we have today, sir? Yeah, the results of 2024. We'll go through them. They're not amazing, but if we take a look at 2025 transfers, there's a certain man that has been signed from Movistar team that will save the day. The Savior has
Jesus.
arrived. The Messiah has arrived. His name is... Spoilers, we can't tell yet. Anyway, we'll start off with the 2024 results with a very sad tone because it looks a bit sad. 5 victories, 2 World Tour victories, 1 Grand Tour victory. That's a lot less than last year, actually. 14 wins in 2023. 4 World Tour wins of that, and 2 Grand Tours wins, which was both at the Tour de France, La Faye, and Izagirre winning a breakaway stage as well. This year, Izagirre was actually pretty solid in certain races. 4th at Lombardia. Did not realize that happened.
No. So he nuked the descent and came back to Enrique and co, who were messing about, and nabbed 4th, which is huge for them.
Yeah, for sure. Great result by the man. 5th at Montreal. Also didn't realize that happened. So he's like the Zubeldia of these later races. Go ahead.
Do you know who caught Arnaud Delis and Tadej Pogacar in Quebec 2 days before?
Jon Izagirre?
Yep.
Well, he didn't get anything out of that at Quebec, so congratulations. You caught 2 riders and didn't win.
I liked it.
Anyway, then on to Axel Zangler, who arguably is one of their best riders throughout the year when it comes to UCI points. Was it their best rider, or where can we see him in the ranking of UCI points within the team?
I think he was their best by UCI points because Guillaume Martin didn't score so many, and Izagirre was no good in spring. Like normally he's a big point scorer in Pays Vasco and Romandy GC. So I think it was Zangler.
So a lot of like these French races, not even getting first in a lot of them, but also 2nd, 3rd, 4th, like that matters. But it's also in bigger races like Bemer Cyclassics. Is that the one that Van Gils won? I don't remember, but
no,
he
that's
got
the one that Coy won.
Oh,
and basically Zangler full boxed in Milan and Coy was able to win, and then Milan came like
big man.
Yeah. But you're right, it's a World Tour race, it's big points.
Axel Mariot, I gotta be honest, that man was completely forgotten out of existence in my mind, but got 6th at Segor, Cal11's Great Ocean Road Race, so you should definitely know him. You should be happy about the man, like he scored on your terrain. Then 1 week races, Coquard won the Tour de Suisse stage, you mentioned already. Izagirre got the top 10 at Etsulia, so they're scoring here and there, but it's not consistent enough to really deal with those UCI points in the way that it needs to be happening. That Thomas stage win in the Giro, completely forgot it happened, but it's a good result. That's what you want if you go to a Grand Tour as Cofidis. You want to get a stage win out of that. And outside of that, they got top 15 at every Grand Tour. Cool, huh? Geschke, 14th at Giro. Martin, 13th at Tour de France. Martin, 15th at Vuelta. What do you think about that? Do you like top 15s?
Not really. But Guillaume Martin, well, he also wasn't happy, Benji. Remember, he complained about the equipment in the Tour de France because he said the power meter... I think he said he rode with no power meter because it would add extra weight, and he was already riding like 7.5 kilos or something. I don't know. But so it wasn't. There was also some like reports earlier in the year of just general dysfunction amongst the team and unhappiness, and that was borne out by it's not just a worse season than last year, which was the a really, really good year, obviously, with Victor Lefebvre, but also 2022. They won the same number of World Tour races. They also won a Grand Tour stage, but they were broadly much more competitive across the year. They won Denain with Valscheid. They won Tour de l'Ain with Guillaume Martin. They won 2 stages of Arctic race, which you say these are not the biggest races, but they're still decent races. They won 19 races, and then 21 was still more wins, and then 2020 they were horrendous.
Sir, I need to speak. So I'm broken. I'm sorry. I've finally faltered. Modern cycling is missing a piece of what I need in cycling. I remember the days of Thomas Veuclair, David Moncoutier, and Nicolas Vaugondi going into the attack all the time in these World Tour races. We are missing this French breakaway rider in 2024 that goes in breakaways, that does crazy shit, that manages to win Sylvain Chavanel style. Like, I'm sorry, but that is the one piece of cycling that I am truly missing from 10 years ago, is that French crazy dude that goes in breakaways, pulls weird faces, and gets a KOM jersey out of it. And I don't know, sorry, but Simon Geschke doesn't do it for me in that. Like, he's a great rider and all, especially on Tour de Swiss time trials, but I need a Frenchie.
Dead. It's dead. UAE and Visma killed it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Thibaut Pinot was trying to get in the break on the Juplin stage last year, and Laporte's pulling 20 seconds behind him at the same speed. Yeah.
Is it because
where are you going to go?
Every time they figure out there's a climber in France as well, they're like, oh, let's try him for GC instead of going for breakaway stages?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, look at David Gaudu's climbing level in the Vuelta. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable how well he was climbing. And of course, like, if he has that level, I mean, maybe Carapaz still gets him El Hagua off the top rope on Super Dev Louis, but yeah, like, and it's still Gaudu doing the Vuelta and getting good results there is better than stage hunting in the Tour, maybe. So,
like, when I was
like
a child,
Lenny, that should be Lenny, right?
Manager, yeah, could be Lenny, but when I was a child playing Pro Cycling Manager, I loved going in the breakaway with Vaugondi or with some random rider on Crédit Agricole. They're gone. They're all gone.
Yeah, because I worry it's cycling, you're right, so professional that Paul Seichas is going to be developed as a serious GC rider. He's not allowed to fuck about, and maybe he will be at Decathlon. I don't know, but Lenny at Bahrain, they probably want him to get GC results.
Zangler Visma, they probably want him to win RVV.
He's a GC rider. That's news.
Is that good news or bad news? If he would be a GC rider.
Got a few of them.
Yeah, Bentolla to New Vingegaard, right?
New Roglic. New Roglic.
The steak is gonna follow you forever.
Brand new Sean Kelly. What was I gonna say? Cofidis, yes. The broad depth of the team just didn't perform. They were sort of they started hunting points. They started trying to chase their own tail, and in the end, it just ended up with a really, really poor season. They're 18th in the Triennium, the 3-year cycle ranking. They have a margin on Arkea of 2,400 points. They'll be grateful for those. When you hear that margin, 16% of that was from Izagirre pushing himself on that descent in Lombardia. Arkea, though, this year scored. Let me do the quick maths. They scored, only about 900 more than Cofidis. So with Arkea being also in a very, very fragile state, they would have to then 2.5x their margin of how much they gain on Cofidis for Cofidis to get relegated, but then Arkea might not even continued.
Irrelevant.
Well, no,
Messiah is here.
We'll get to the transfers, but they will be conscious of the ranking. They'll be conscious of the ranking, and what that leads to happening is, Zangler got hit by a car, and then he's racing like the next week or 2 weeks later. To be honest, he was fine. He said the.
Is it me or did Cedric Fazur tweet like a shush emoji at some point this year? Was that last year?
I don't know.
I
But
remember.
yeah, like what happens is that then the
He
top
did.
point scorers, he did.
He did. May 8th, on the Benjamin Thomas victory, he posted a shush emoji on Twitter.
Well, that shows you, Benji.
Yeah, I've been shut up. Congratulations on the 5 victories, guys.
Yep. So that's so Brian Cockard, the temptation then is to sort of send him to every .1 that you can to try and get 20 points, 30 points. And so I think basically they'll be focusing on point survival next year. So it was not a successful year, Benji. In the Tour de France, it was not a good tour. The Zangler-Cockard combination didn't really work at all. Martin GC wasn't there, so I would give their year a D.
Yeah.
Is that too harsh with the Grand Tour victory?
I'm going. It's not the tour, so I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's a D. I'm sorry, but we also got to keep in mind how, like, giving a score is relative to how good it can be, and we know that next year is going to be an S tier performance, so it's going to be like,
true, yeah.
We're so far from how good Aramburu will bring. Oh, spoilers. How good the Messiah, the unknown Basque Messiah, will bring this team next year that we need to make sure there's enough space to move up. But I agree, it's a D tier performance. But let's talk about transfers. Let's talk about transfer for the team, because there's a lot of riders outgoing and incoming. Well, we won't go over every single name because there's a shit ton of riders here. But outgoing, Guillaume Martin's leaving, which ever since he came from Intermarché, he's been a cornerstone for this team, and him leaving to Groupama FDG is such a weird thing in my head. That's something I will have to get used to. Ben Herman's leaving, gotta be honest. I kind of forgot he was still riding. Jorge Izagirre Geschke retiring. Axel Zangler going to Visma Leaseweg, their biggest loss easily. Kenny Elizondo leaving. Also not surprised, because I haven't seen him since he was in the breakaway with Wout van Aert on Mont Ventoux. Ruben Fernandez, Alexis Goujar, Christophe Noppe, Axel Mariot leaving with an unknown destination. Saint-Michel is the new destination of Thomas Champion. To be honest, if you have a name of a champion, then you need to win more. Harrison Wood is also leaving the team, unfortunately. I like the guy, so friend of the channel, come on, guys. Someone pick him up. Anyway, those are the leaving riders. Do you think anyone will be missed here? Like, the obvious name is Zangler. UCI points-wise, sorry, but you can't deny that that guy will be missed for the team, because he's literally their most important rider.
That's the one rider that they would have wanted to keep, I think, from the list. I think Axel Mariol is a very strange one. Like, of all the riders to be let go or not get a contract, like, he's French, he's not bad, like, he's young.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, he's not going to cost any money. I thought you'd extend him to. So that's very strange to me that Mariol, like, he's not a world beater, but he's decent. So that's strange. But yeah, Zangler, it's not. I'm sure they would have liked to have kept Zangler as well. But
sure.
I think they've done a pretty good like-for-like job replacing him, and that brings us to the much-fated Alex Aramburu, Benji. One of my hot takes. I think Alex Aramburu could score more UCI points than Zangler next year.
I agree.
Yeah.
Alex Aramburu will score 3,771 UCI points next year.
Aramburu's going to score 3,000.
700. I forgot
what
I
said. Fucking podium liège.
Just wait for it. Just wait for it, bro. Wait for it. It's a hot take. That's my hot take for today.
That is, I mean, I got it. Yeah, you let Benji give a hot take for, let him
He's Mark
get on the grill.
Reborn.
okay. But I agree. At what?
Everything, my friend.
Maybe a better climber. Aramburu, they needed that signing. Also, Cofidis is like semi-Spanish. Like they sponsor the Vuelta. They got a lot of Basques on the team.
Wait. Look at the nationalities of the outgoing and the incoming transfers. It's like they literally switch like for like on nationality alone. 2 Belgians out, 2 Belgians in. 2 Spanish riders out, 2 Spanish riders in. 1 German out, 1 German in. 1 British rider out, 1 British rider in.
Nah, that's crazy.
The only difference is your mass.
What? That's like they have a quota system for these countries. What? Ben Herman's, do you know anyone? Dylan Turns.
They're probably cousins.
That's wild. Okay. The Aaron Brew, yeah, I think he's done some hard races. Like he did the Tour, Belgium Tour, where he even won a stage. Romandie, where it's very hard. Basque, he's competitive in the sprints. I think if you put this guy on the French Cups, and then he did like a whole host of World Tour classics in August and September. If you put him on the French Cup circuit, Tour de Limousin, which I think he might have even won before, he can score a lot. He can really, really score a lot. So that's a really good signing for them, and they needed that. And I think, yeah, in terms of like progression, doesn't have the same upside as Zangler, but for points next year, he can, it's very realistic, he can score more. So that's a good bit of business by them, I would say, depending on the price. Bookman is another, the GC rider. He replaces Guillaume Martin, again, like for like. I was actually not completely opposed to this.
Yeah.
Because, Bookman, has he performed to his contract at Bora the last 2 years? Well, no. Clearly not. If you put Bookman on a .pro, Slovenia, Hungary, can he score a load of points for you?
Yes.
Probably.
But that brings me to
They're
question.
not going to do that.
Yeah. But that brings me to question. A rider like Sylvain Moniquet, for example, joining, he's the kind of rider that I think he top 10s races like the ones you mentioned, those .pro races. But is that then to do the same at this team? Because just getting a top 10 in those races will not get you the UCI points you want. That's Cofidis. You'd want to get top 5s, top 3s in those races. So then you'd need the Bookman to be the man, maybe with Moniquet's support, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, Moniquet, maybe he can, like, 6th in copy, like, he's not bad, and top 10s in those Doobs races. But
can
yeah, he's not the same.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it goes the other way, that Lotto Destiny does get people performing really well, and the other way happens at Cofidis. But Bookman, the problem is that's not what the plan is. So the plan, from what I read in interviews with him, is that he's going to he's going there to lead Grand Tours again. And so, like the Giro, because that was why he got left off the Giro, right, at Bora? I can understand why he wants to do it.
Someone needs to replace Guillaume Martin's top 15s, bro.
But I think that's the plan. And so, just getting called by my dentist, Benji. I don't know why they're calling me.
Show me your teeth.
I've got bad I've got a terrible overbite, but I got healthy teeth. No fillings, nothing. Okay. Bookman it's like, I don't think it's going to work out that well for them.
I don't think so either. Like, it's really the names like Touzé and so forth that I'm interested in. Those kind of names. When it comes to turns, it's like, yes, can he compete for a top 10 in RVV? Yes. Can he compete in a top 10 in those kind of classics? Yes. Is he consistent enough to be worth the money that they probably spend on him? In my opinion, no.
Nope.
So I think that money could have been better spent elsewhere.
Yeah, they cost so much money. Like the experienced riders. So much. They're putting so much of their budget here into Turns, Bookman, and Aaron Baru. And Aaron Baru, I see it because he's also sub 30. Aaron Baru, he's a points. He scores them.
No criticism, bro.
But the other two, there's other guys on the market who I think could have been better. To be honest,
I've done research. I've done research on Sam Maisonneuve and Clément Izquierdo. So those are also two guys joining. Maisonneuve is joining from Vendée U, which is, if I recall, a team that is often connected to the team of Cofidis, a youngster. And these two riders are both the kind of riders that are performing on national level in France. So in French Cup races, getting top 5s there. When I'm talking about French Cup races, I'm not talking about the UCI ones. I'm talking about the national ones in France. And Maisonneuve actually performed well in national events in those races. Comes from triathlon, if I recall correctly, into this sport and won a stage at Ronde de l'Isère. But there's an asterisk with that stage. There was a crash between a motorbike and Jackson Medway in that stage. And I think Porte d'Aspet was a climb that was upcoming. I've got this from source Direct Velo, where he explained it in an interview. And the race was neutralized, then eventually restarted. And from what I could translate, Maisonneuve didn't really want the race to continue for after that crash, or wanted it to stop at the top of Porte d'Aspet. But the organizers didn't do that, so he decided to attack after the top of Porte d'Aspet, not once, but multiple times, and eventually got away and won the stage. So it's kind of a neutralized race that turned into a race where not every rider was really willing to race for it anymore, but he still won the race. So deserves the credit for that. Izquierdo
and
sounds like a football player from Club Brugge back in the day.
One of the stages Maisonneuve won at Guadeloupe, there was a double relegation of first and second ahead of him. Never seen that before. It's what PCS says.
Fuck?
Yeah, two Colombians on the same team. They chop each other. What the fuck? They put him in the barriers. Like, it's two guys.
I need to see this.
I need if anyone has footage of stage 8 of to Guadeloupe. I need to see that. Sorry, go on. Izquierdo. He sounds like left.
Player Izquierdo won UCI race, Tour de la Mirabelle or something, 2.2 race, I think, and won a French National Cup race, one of those national ones. So he's won some shit there. I gotta be honest, I'm not exactly fluent in my French National Cup, so I don't actually know how that level translates to World Tour. So I guess we'll find out in 2025, but at least you have a clue of who these riders are. But have we gone over every single one? Because I swear you haven't spoken about Samitier, Jan Maas and so forth, and Ursula. But Simon Carr, what do you think of Mr. Carr?
Yes, Monsieur Simon Carr. He is now fully fledged French, going to Cofidis. Simon Voiture. Yeah, he's supposed to be a stage hunter. I guess for them, he won a stage. He's won 7 pro races in 4 seasons at EF. He's 26. He's in his peak or in his prime as a one-day racer. Yeah, he won Trofeo Calvia this year at the start of this year. He beat Vlasov and co, which is and McNulty and Aaron Brew. So maybe that's where they saw him on a stage of the Tour of the Alps. He's a breakaway hunter. The problem is there's just so few opportunities for these mountain breakaway guys to actually win. And then when they do end up in the breakaway, they're against Richard Carapaz, Enric Mas, and Simon Yates. And it's like, good luck to you. So I think Giro would fit quite well. He came 11th in Strade. Actually, strange rider. Like, he's got these real flashes of this and then really lacks consistency across the year, which is why he doesn't score many points.
Okay. Forgot who we mentioned and not mentioned. But overall, I think, obviously, if they just signed Aramburu alone, it would already be a net positive for me.
I think their transfer window, okay, did they spend the money the best optimally? No. Yep. The transfer window is good enough that they brought in good point scorers that I don't really have any concern about their them surviving next year. So Luke just sent the relegation footage. That's what I'm watching.
They're not fighting each other, to be clear, but one Colombian is bullying the man on the right, and the other Colombian is bullying the man on the left side.
That's a pretty crazy relegation, no?
I gotta rewatch this.
So I'll see another sprint with a bend in it. The Colombians didn't do that much wrong. I thought it'd be way worse. Luke somehow found it.
Guadeloupe, is that a country?
It's a colony. It's a département. Outre-mer, no?
If it's that part of France?
Hopefully it's not a sovereign nation. No, it's the Department of France. It's the Department of France.
Okay, you weren't wrong. But that being said,
you know, another Departement Outre-mer.
Corrupt. The Colombians were robbed. Putting my hand in the fire.
You calling it?
They were robbed. Robbed. Just saying it. Just like everyone that watched the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight.
I mean, I don't know why. I've been watching boxing since I watched Joe Calzaghe, Ricky Hatton. I don't know why anyone was surprised that it looked like that.
I did enjoy the Serrano versus Katie Taylor fight, and Serrano should have won.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think actually their signings, like, they're fine. They're just typical Cofidis signings. It's like, why did you sign Jan Mas? Why did you sign Samitier? Yeah. Why did you sign Ursula? Like, what are they going to do for you? But they have to have them. Okay, if you were in Cofidis' shoes, Benji, how would you plan their year?
You're reading my own script at me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very, very good question. I would. Well, the goal is to get as many UCI. Is it? I think it is still. No. You know?
And you got to be good in the tour. You got to show something in the tour. You got to show something in the tour as well. Surviving's not enough.
I agree. Do you want the stage win in the tour at least? I don't care. I don't really care about what they perform in World Tour outside of the Tour de France. It's Cofidis. I'm sorry, but the rest of the year should be focused on UCI points.
Yep. So I'm going to start with the tour. I would, even though despite what I said, I would send Simon Carr to the tour because maybe there's like so many mountaintop finishes. Maybe there are some breakaways that win one of them.
Yeah, and maybe. Like, you don't send Aramburu to the tour because in the meanwhile you would like to send him to ETS Tour de Wallonie to get UCI points. So Simon Carr, what the fuck else are you going to send him to during that race? You can send him to those 1 week races during the Giro, Hungary or something. Yeah, but you can do that during the Giro and the Vuelta, you know? It doesn't need to be also during the tour.
Yeah. I think you have to send Bookman to the Giro because he's going to want to do a Grand Tour, so I would send him to that one.
Mallorca? I would send a bunch of these boys.
Yeah, they'll all do Mallorca. And then I would send Coquard to the Tour de France because of the first week's pretty good for him, that he can actually, those points are valuable as well, coming top 5 in sprints. So I'd send him there.
Aramburu to Bessèges and Provence to beat up Mes Pedersen.
Yeah. Aramburu, I would. He's going to do the Vuelta with Izaguirre and Herrada. So we know that.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine. That's fine. We don't know the route yet, but it'll be fine. And then it suits him the most of all 3 Grand Tours, I would say.
But and then is Aramburu not the kind of rider you'd like to see in some of the Italian classics?
Yeah, I mean, he can be okay. He can go like top 5 Bernocchi, which is probably what he did this year, right? Like he can, or Piemonte.
Well, he can't win it. Like, you need tactics for that in the sprint.
Yeah, he or she mugged him. But the question is, like, do you send then Aramburu to Paris-Nice? Do you send him to Pays Vasco? Do you send him to these races?
I'm sorry, but he ain't going to do it there. I wouldn't do that. If anything, if you send him to anything, it's the kind of Romandy parkour, if it's hilly and so forth, to get results there. But even then, I'd much rather see this team focus a lot on the 1.1 races with a lot of the team, because that's where Zangler got his points, and that's what is being taken away. So you want Aramburu to take the amount of points that Zangler did. You're going to have to replace Zangler in those races too, you know?
Yeah. So I think I would put him on that schedule too, but maybe a little bit less without the Tour de France. Then you've got Dylan Turns will do the Cobble Classics and then the Ardennes. Yep. So he'll just do all those the big one-day races. Oh, it's not a deep team, is it? It's tough to put a classic team together here.
Where's Coquard going?
Do you send him to Australia to try to...
Do you send Aramburu to Australia?
Fuck, Australia's good for Aramburu.
It is, right?
Yeah.
He will chop up. Willinger Hill, probably not, but Corkscrew?
No, not till this year, but that's hard.
I have no clue what that means.
It's basically the hill next. It's like next to corkscrew, but narrower run-in and narrow climb, but it's pretty similar. It's just not got the hairpins, and then it's the same descent finish. Yeah, I think you got to send one of Cockard or Aaron Baru to TDU, Cadell's. I'd probably send Aaron Baru, actually.
Same.
And then Cockard, they sent to Oman and Alula and Muscat.
Yeah.
I would probably send him to Bessèges instead or something. I don't know. But
Based
yeah, the
on
classics.
what we've said so far, Aaron Baru has like 100 race days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay. The Messiah has to work for it.
Who do you see like that could really step up and surprise
in this team?
Yeah.
No one.
We didn't mention Fratin. He's good.
Yeah, he's good, but he also has a ceiling for me. Like, what I see for him is being more consistent in Belgian 1-1 races. Top 10s, he's achieved a few of those in 2024.
Loads.
Just getting a bit more consistent in that, and maybe having was there not a year on Intermarché where Danny van Poppel had loads of like top 10s in the Belgian 1-1 races? A run like that is what you hope for with Fratin. So yeah, I agree with you. Fratin is kind of one that I expect maybe a little bit of a step up from, but I also don't expect him to top 5 actually like Tom and your top 10s, but
yeah, I mean, I think you're underrating Fratin a little bit. Like third at Bash and Munsterland, and you're like, what are those races? But it's De Lee, Biniam, Philipsen are the 3 riders around him. So it's these are also the people in Kerner.
Yep.
So I think he will do the Kerner and be the leader there. Maybe Lecoq, but then I would split them. I think they gotta not do what. Don't send Aaron Baru, Fratin, and Cockard to the same to Bash.
Yeah.
Split them.
They're slightly different riders as well, you know?
Yeah. Fratin can't climb.
Aaron Baru to the hillier ones. Yeah, I think it's very possible to schedule a nice program for these riders throughout the season, but you just need the consistency and results, and that's also a performance thing. Like, it's not just the riders and their quality. Like, is Cofidis able to let these riders perform throughout the entire season? It worked with Zangle. So let's see if it works with Aaron Baru.
I would say it didn't actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's just was always at like, seemed to me, like 85%.
Isn't that kind of what you want for UCI points?
Yeah. It wasn't the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the problem is that
also Hirschi was kind of a 95, 100% at a certain point.
Yeah. The problem is sort of the future. Let's say I don't think they're going to get relegated. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm more looking to the future, Benji, and that move on to like the next topic. What is the future for the team, especially when you're marketing it to sponsors? Because it's a tough sponsor environment. I don't envy these teams. They're operating, particularly in France. They have higher costs of running the team relative to the non-French teams with social security, with taxes, with the riders' take-home. Well, the riders' take-home packet is less. Also, what is Cofidis? Insurance company, no?
Are insurance companies not rewarded for, or was that gambling companies in France rewarded for sponsoring?
No, it's a bank. It's a consumer credit. It's a consumer credit business.
Because Cofidis has been in this sport so long that I don't necessarily have the fear of Cofidis disappearing, because they're such a cornerstone in this sport, you know? But I do think for Cofidis to step up, it needs to merge with another French team, which I don't like the idea of teams merging, because then you have a lot of staff that ends up on the street, that a lot of riders that have to look for other destinations that might offer an opportunity for a different team to step up, which might lead to more staff being able to join that team and more riders. So it goes both ways, but I don't know, I feel like there's just a lot of French teams who are kind of all fighting for the same kind of thing. Like, Cofidis and Arkea are fighting against relegation. What if there was a team, Cofidis Arkea, and you had the likes of Vokeland's team?
Yeah, and then you'd really have like a Spearhead or Arambaru plus him would look good. You've also got Total. You know, Total, let's not forget, I mean, Decathlon, we're like, oh, it makes sense. They improved so much. Decathlon, big company came in. Total Energy is a huge multinational.
Yeah.
And if you look at their 2025 roster, it's like, yeah, it's not good. Yeah, so, and they've also gone completely, well, they were completely French before. Am I missing something? I swear Total Energy didn't just all have French riders before. They had Sagan. But yeah, in reality, the merger won't happen for a number of reasons between these teams, personalities, whatever, and they end up treading water for a long time. But I more mean like they got to make them, Cofidis have to make themselves attractive to Paul Seichas type riders of the future, and that's how you get more sponsor money, and that's what Decathlon have done a good job of. Paul Seichas, Johannes Stan Mittet, they see Decathlon and they're like, oh, this is a reasonable project for me to invest my future in.
Yeah.
And Cofidis have got to try to get themselves to that point to where a Paul Seichas wants to choose them, a Lenny Martinez wants to choose them, because at the moment, yeah, they've won, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their top, no, 6 of their top probably 7 scorers next year. 6 of their top 7 scorers will be over 30 years old, I think. And only 6 riders are under 25 starting the season next year.
I feel like when it comes to riders being willing to sign for a team, there's also an aspect of perception to it, eh? Because when it comes to, yeah. And Cofidis for me is in the camp of teams that are perceived to not be good performance-wise.
It's all perception, and it's like, well, they took Zangler off the French amateurs and made him a good rider.
But then it's not professional how they handled Zangler at the end of the year, and as a rider looking for a team, I see that and I'm like, okay, that's not a team I want to ride for.
Coquard won his first World Tour race there. First 2 World Tour races there after years and years of trying. So Victor Lafay developed into a Tour de France stage winner, beating Pogacar and Vingegaard in the Basque Country in the Tour. So,
but Laporte left the team and became a better rider. So there's always angles to it, eh? There's always perception, and the perception is, in my opinion, leaning towards the wrong side right now.
I think the perception probably is most important, and that's the perception is the reality, is that if the perception is that you don't help with performance, then the young riders, they're not going to be like, well, but actually there's a network effect that when you put Christophe Laporte with Wout van Aert, it helps, makes it easier for Laporte to win. No one,
also,
he's like, he won races there.
Yeah, it's also just, for example, with Jorgensen as well. People look at Jorgensen in 2024, don't necessarily remember how Movistar or himself got him to that point last year. And then the perception is Jorgensen got a lot better at a Visma bike, which he probably got better, but he was also already a fucking good rider before that. Laporte was one of the first riders over the pathway before he joined Visma bike, but the perception is he became a godlike cobble rider when Visma bike signed him.
Or Sivakov. Everyone's saying his results aren't better at UAE.
I would argue
they're really not.
Sivakov's best performance, in my personal opinion, was in the Tour de l'Inde 2020.
Yeah.
Perception-wise.
But if you ask people, and they're like, well, Sivakov, he got way better at UAE. It's like, I'm not sure he did.
No.
Did Jay Vine at UAE, it's equipment as well. It's different aspects of cycling. Like, I think Jay's climbing, if you look at compared to like those huge watts in the Vuelta 20 on Alpecin, maybe he has improved and he's had injuries, I don't know, but his TT is what has gone completely crazy at UAE. And now he's like an elite TT, right? That's equipment.
Yep.
and support and coaching and the opportunity. So, but climbing level, I don't know if it has, because at Alpecin he was fucking stomping too. So anyway, we digress. But yeah, it's
victories.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna win 8 races.
Okay.
1 at World Tour level.
Okay. I don't care about the amount of victories in total, but I'm gonna say they win 9 victories in World Tour, 8 of which is Alex Aramburu.
9 World Tour wins. Okay, run me through. Where the fuck are they winning?
Is Aramburu. He's going to win every single non-mountain stage of Basque Country. I don't know how many of those are, but we'll go for that. He will win Quebec somehow. He will win the Queen stage of the Vuelta and 2 other stages.
Nong La?
What?
The Nong La, the hilltop finish in Guangxi.
Correct. Forgot about that one. He's going to win. He's going to win more. He's going to win
3
every
stages
hill
TDU
stage
plus
of
GC.
Bologna. He's going to win the hill stage at Santa Student. Mate, 9 World Tour victories, 8 of which Aramburu. I'm saying it.
Actually, at TDU, he should cook, honestly. They got to send him to TDU Cadell's plus Surf Coast Classic. They got to send him.
He's 2025 Narvaez.
Yeah, he really is good for him. But imagine telling Amber, hey, buddy, you got to be in shape for January 20th. You're going to Australia.
Until Guangxi.
Until Guangxi, he's got a 11-month season. You do 100 race days. We preemptively applied to the UCI for the exemption.
Signed the contract, buddy. Anyway, time to wrap up.
Okay, that's all for us on the Cofidis preview. Hope you enjoyed it. We're all cheering for Aaron Baru next year. He's going to dominate. And Benji says 9 World Tour victories just for him. Until the next one, ciao.